Welcome to the Roanoke Street Podcast. I'm John Wilburn here with Marie March and Dave Larsen. And in the background, we have Chantilly Farm in Floyd. We thought this would make a great episode for you guys. Dave Larsen is a really interesting guy. If you don't know him, you should. And so we're going to talk about one of his venues and some of his other stuff today. So, thanks for having us out.
Well, I'm delighted to have you out here. Beautiful day, and we got a little shade here and a little breeze. Just a gorgeous day. Good to have you out here to Chantilly.
Thank you.
All right.
I have to say Chantilly Farm, because Chantilly is a town in Virginia, but we're Chantilly Farm in Floyd, Virginia.
Right, so if you're watching this from somewhere else, this is the opposite end of the state.
So where did that name come from?
I sort of picked it out of the air. I mean, not literally, but it was just something that came to me as it's a cool name.
Yeah.
And I knew there's Chantilly's all over the place.
Isn't it French? Doesn't it come derive from?
I would suspect that's true,
Mm-hmm.
but I just like the ring of it, and it has been a good name for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's one you can kind of remember. It really is good. There was no magic secret. It just, hey, that's a good name, and I liked it.
It's a pretty name.
Yeah.
How big is this place?
Well, our farm here, Chantilly Farm, is essentially 200 acres, a couple acres less, but basically 200 acres, about 100 acres of open land, which we have our events venue, RV park, campground, and about 100 acres of woodland where we have some bike trails and hiking trails, things like that, about 200 acres.
And didn't you acquire this in stages?
I did. Bought the first part of it about 15 years ago plus, and didn't do much with it. Then once we started the Chantilly venue operation, we added another, in 2 stages, we added 40 acres and another 60 acres. So we have 200 acres continuous here now.
Wow. And how much work did you have to do to the land, the raw land?
I couldn't tell you how much work because there was so much work, but we didn't chop down any forest or anything like that. The land that was basically open was kind of grown up into briars and vines and stuff. And so we had a lot of cleanup and moved a lot of dirt, to make the place look good and so forth. But
Lots
it's
of
been 9 years, and every year we've done something to the farm and improved it. So it's been over 9 years of improvement. So it's a little hard to say. A lot of work.
Lots of road building and grading and.
Oh yeah, lots of road building. We probably have 1.5 miles, 2 miles of roads in here.
Wow.
And a great stage with a great view. And then we got another place over here where we can put a bigger stage with more people. And, we have a number of buildings. The infrastructure here is quite good.
Did you just kind of see the need for this in the community? Like, how did it kind of come about?
Well,
Like
it's
having the
interesting how it
vision?
came about. It came about because we had the property, and a gentleman came to us and wanted to sort of do music events, Jason Gallimore. And Jason's just a terrific guy. He's got a great personality and a great creative ability in events. And he said, I want to do events. And we didn't think this far down the line. We were just thinking kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, let's go and take a look at this farm. And we looked at it and we said, yeah, we could put the stage over here and do this and do a few things. And so that's how we got started. It was actually kind of motivated by outside of my thoughts, something to do with the farm. And Jason's still with us. He's our production manager and does a terrific job with all these shows, along with some additional help that he has.
Tell us what's going on behind us back here.
Well, we're just wrapping up Cirque du Floyd, which was over the weekend, and it was a great show, and had a lot of folks here and great entertainment, a great circus. The kids and the people came out, just loved it, and the whole venue was decorated. We're now getting all the decorations down. So it was a Friday night, Saturday event over the weekend, and so you're seeing the remnants of that right now.
So you probably have all kinds of vendors that come here for that, and.
Well, yes, there was a number of vendors that Jason and Ashley, who's his assistant and works in production as well, got out here. Yeah, food vendors, all kinds of vendors, absolutely. Yeah.
Every time I come here, there's something new. I've never been here if there wasn't something new in that field when I've come out. I see that what is that building right there?
Well, that's just about the wrap-up of what we call our second stage, just a small stage being built down there by Barb Ward is building that. And it's a place for jamming sessions, music sessions. Could be weddings down there, could be all kinds of events down there, but just a second stage to have another place to do small events, or during a larger event, you can have a second event over there as well at the same time.
So kind of off the top of your head, what are some of the events that you guys kind of have that have become kind of regular events? I know you do a barbecue and
Well,
what is that?
we're changing mode somewhat, looking for more events that will bring different people out here. We've done the Bluegrass and Barbecue event for 9 years, and not going to run that next year. And the reason we're not going to run it is we've had the same crowd, wonderful people, love this place, but we'd like to do some other events that bring a different group in here, maybe different genres, that sort of thing. And of course the Cirque du Floyd. And we have a lot of other events during the year. There's a car show.
Isn't there a pageant, like a
Well, it's coming up this
Floyd?
week.
Is it the Floyd?
Yeah, the beauty
in
pageant.
4-H?
It's
Y'all
the
do
Floyd
4-H?
County pageant.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dee Wallace runs that. She does a wonderful job with
Yeah.
that. In fact, it's this Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one reason we're tearing down and getting the barn ready for the pageant. Then we have the county fair here.
Yes.
Later in the fall, we have Stakeout, which will be about 250 motorcycle folks that come in and camp and do rides around the area. We have several bike events here, that is bicycle events. In the spring, we have Tour de Floyd. In the fall, we have Tour de Dirt. We're working on a bigger event for next year. And a lot of weddings. You know, we have a lot of private events here too. Weddings, reunions, get-togethers of various kinds.
It's very peaceful out here.
Oh, it's beautiful. And of course, camping is a big thing. We have a lot of campers. They come out and just enjoy the place. We have campers that, of course, come in from, they're traveling, they stop off here from anywhere. But we do have a lot of kind of regular campers that come up from North Carolina where it's hot. It's a little hot here today. But they like to come up for weekends or spend a week and just come up to the mountains. We are a beautiful location in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So people love to come here and just spend a few days and camp out, either tent camping or RV camping, and that's really popular. We've got some great folks here, like Terry is my camp manager, or just runs the whole operation up here on top of the farm where the camping is. And Terry Woodruff does a great job. He actually lives in the camper over there himself with his wife, and they love it out here, and he keeps this place humming in terms of the campers.
So how many sites do you have?
Well, we have a variety of sites. We have a little over 30 full-service RV sites.
30 amp, 50 amp?
Oh, they're all full service with 30 and 50. We've probably got a dozen or more water and power sites. We've got a lot of dry camping sites. We have, of course, a dump station, fresh water. Our water supply is a community water system, so it's health regulated.
Right.
We have a wonderful well here. We can supply water to about anything. And we have some camping sites up in the woods. We have a couple of primitive cabins. I think you can see them in the background. These little brown buildings back here.
Ah,
A couple of little primitive cabins. They rent out very nicely. There's not much in them, just a light bulb and bunks, and people love those. I have a micro cottage.
Is the teepee for rent?
We used to rent the teepee out, but it's a little tough to rent it out because there's nothing in it.
Gotcha.
And people, they want something. Now, in terms of things, over on the other side, we have some bell tents and a platform tent. Now, people want to do a tent rental. That's what they really want to rent because there's beds in those, and they're equipped, and they're really beautiful. They're just around the corner there. So we have a little bit of the glamping sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm always interested in how people build these kind of things. And what would you say was probably your biggest challenge in making this happen? Because this was a lot of work to go from a field to this.
Well, again, I want to emphasize it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
I want to tell you, our first event that Jason Gallimore came up with was the Bluegrass event. And we started where the current stage is down there now, the big stage just back of the barn. We had power, and this one road running that far, and we had a power run out there. The first Bluegrass Festival was a portable stage in the field, and that was it. And so then every year we added something. We added a pavilion to have a real stage, and then we added the barn to have a place for green room and weddings and so forth. And we added more roads. We added the RV park started. We didn't actually do camping to any extent until after we're in about 4 years, and then people wanted to come back and camp. So then we said, well, maybe we should start a campground. So we have an official Virginia licensed campground, and we started that about 5 years ago, and that was added that year. Then we added the front of the stage, which is huge stage with speaker towers and everything. It was just a pavilion to start with. Then we added that. Every year we've added something. Then we added a big barn down here to the left. We didn't have a place to store all of our equipment, like garbage cans, trucks, tractors. We had storing them all over so we built the big barn. Last year I built these 4 cabins down in the front of the farm. So every year we've just added a little bit more, and it gets a little bit more and a little bit more.
People who come out here can see the amenities and all of that, but a lot of them don't know about you. And so tell us a little bit about, where you came from and what you did maybe in your past life and before, you did this.
Well, I've done a lot of things. I think I sort of started I was 15 years old, got interested in electronics, got a ham radio license, and I've been an amateur radio operator for 65 years now. And that led me into a Navy career of 2 years as an electronic technician.
All right.
Out of the Navy, I went to school and got a degree in what they call business and technology. It was a combination engineering business degree. And when I graduated from college in 1963, I went to work in Silicon Valley. I really didn't call it Silicon Valley then, but Mountain View, California. I worked for Fairchild Semiconductor, and then I went to work for Varian Associates. Now, Varian Associates is a big instrument company that made analytical instruments, big ones, with big magnets and so forth. And I was a traveling engineer for the company, and I did some work at Virginia Tech in 1966. And in December of 66, I got a call. They said, hey, we're looking for someone to teach electronics and instrumentation and help with us in the chemistry department, help our people move into the world of automatic instrumentation and measurements. And so I was hired as a faculty member in 1966, and I taught there for 33 years. I retired in 98, been retired 21 years now from teaching. And so we taught there for those years, and we taught instrumentation, automation, microcomputers, that sort of things. I got involved with a group. We wrote some books again, people say, how do you do it? Well, it was a group of people. I was just part of the group. We did a series of books on instrumentation and computers and electronics. Turned out to be about 74 books back in the late 70s and early 80s. Great project. Then we went from there, and I've always had an interest in land. When we moved to Virginia in '67, I grew up on a farm, so I had a hankering for dirt. So the second year I was here, I bought a 100-acre farm and thought, well, I'll just have a few little Christmas trees. And we planted 10,000 trees that first year.
Small little
and
Christmas
I
tree
thought, this will be a little thing.
Right.
A couple hours every weekend. When I feel like it, we'll go out there and do it. Well, like every other project, no project is small.
Right.
Moving along rather quickly, it turned into about 500 acres of Christmas trees. I hired a Virginia Tech graduate, Mike Ziegler, who still lives very near me, a dear friend of mine, forester, to manage the plantations, and we ran that operation until 1992, and we actually ended up not only with Christmas trees, wholesale, retail, but we developed a mail order market where we shipped trees by UPS all over the East Coast.
Who was doing that at that time?
Well,
Nobody?
we started. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody, yeah.
No, we created that industry of shipping a live tree. By a live tree, I mean a real tree, not with roots on it, but a live tree. And we had our own tree stand, and we had wreaths and roping, and we finally, grandkids started to come along, and we were so busy around Christmas time, and that time we said, we don't have time for the grandkids, so we sold the business to a fellow in North Carolina, Hal Gemlin, who still runs a business down there. It's the Omni Farms in North Carolina. Still runs a mail order business on his own tree farm down there. So that we just moved sort of into one thing and then another, and it's been a lot of fun, been a lot of work, but and not everything's been successful. We've done plenty of things that didn't work necessarily, but some of them worked pretty well.
Y'all still do the Floyd magazine?
Well, no, our group, again, I was a small part of that. It was my group, D. Wallace and the others in our group, and a couple of other fellows started the Floyd magazine, Floyd, Virginia, it's called, Floyd,
right.
Virginia. And our group did it for 5 years, and then we decided that we just needed to give it up. It was just too much
Were you printing internally? Did you have a printing press? and
No.
everything?
We printed commercial printing, I think,
Gotcha.
out of Richmond.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Then another group took it over for 5 years, and they bailed out, and now a couple of other folks are still running the magazine. It's a great magazine. It's a great publication for Floyd. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of other ventures, tell us about your computer museum.
Well, that was the thing too. When I was teaching at Virginia Tech, I've always had an interest in electronics, and basically I'm a hoarder. I save old things, too many of them. So while we were teaching there, we were using various computers, writing about them, and doing workshops and seminars. And I just collected all the old computers as we went along, and the end result was, after 45 years of collection, I had a huge collection, which my wife says, we got to do something with this, because when we're gone, the kids won't know what to do with it. And she was absolutely right. So it ended up a couple of years ago, we moved the collection to the Computer Museum of America down in Roswell, Georgia, run by Lonnie Mims and his wife Karen. Huge museum. When I moved it, it was 13,000 items, 31 tons, 2 tractor trailer loads of stuff we had.
Oh,
And we
wow.
had a little museum here in Floyd for a while. We had about 300 items on display down at the village in Floyd, and it was sort of popular, but again, it was one of those things that just time had come, it needed a new, bigger home.
Tell us about some of the items that were your most popular items.
Well, we had a tremendous collection of the early microcomputers, and of course, including the Apple I computer. We had several of those. The MSI, the Altairs, all those very early first computers, which are now so collectible.
Now, this would be that circuit board that those guys made in the garage. They made
Oh,
like
yeah.
50 of them, something like that.
Well, Steve Wozniak designed the computer. He teamed up with Steve Jobs, and Jobs was the marketing guy, and Wozniak was an engineer, wonderful engineer. And Wozniak is still living, quite a fellow, doing a lot of promotion and stuff. Unfortunately, we all know that Jobs passed away and started Apple Computer Company, which is now I think it's still the largest stock company in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So that was probably our premier thing, but we had hundreds of startup. There were a lot of companies that started in the 70s when microcomputers came into existence. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of companies that tried to make a better product, but before they could get to market, there was already a better product.
It was a race.
Yeah,
right?
so we had a lot of prototype equipment, a lot of stuff that was on the market for a little while, and then went down the tube. And along with parts, manuals, books, just memorabilia of all kind. Yeah.
So how did you get your hands on all that? Just being in the right place at the right time?
Early.
Well, once you start collecting something, then
Right.
people learn you're a serious collector, and I did a blog
Right.
on it. Then they want to get stuff to you because they want to get rid of it, because it probably is just in the way.
Gotcha.
And at the time, back in the 70s, late 70s and 80s, the stuff that's now very collectible is like, I got a Chevrolet I want to get rid of.
Junk. They
Yeah,
thought it was junk.
And I saved a lot of that stuff.
Wow.
And it turned out to be not necessarily valuable, but valuable from a historical standpoint.
The community of people that own these is so small, you know who they are.
Because there was
Oh.
only how many made?
Well, in terms of the Apple I computer, there were 200 made. About 175 were sold. They sold for roughly $666.66. It's estimated now that there's probably about 50 of them left, maybe a little bit more. And they're virtually all of them are now in hands of people that will never let them go. I mean, people that had enough money to buy them. And those that got them early on are now selling them for a fairly good amount of money. And they're moving on to be in significant museums and that sort of thing.
It's interesting. You do all kinds of interesting things.
Well, we've done a lot of things over the years. My wife and I have been aggressive in a lot of things. In the amateur radio area, we've actually, in 1992, well, in the late 80s and 90s, I was traveling for Virginia Tech and for our foundation in Russia and Ukraine and places, even before the Soviet Union broke up, doing workshops in computer automation. So we also traveled with our radio group, and we found we didn't have much of an impact, so we thought we need to start an official group. So we started the Foundation for Amateur International Radio Service, so we would have a real name and a nonprofit foundation. So we've been running that foundation since 1992, and it gives us a 501c3, so we have a number of donors who donate to us, and we currently are supplying equipment for disaster preparedness communication in a number of countries. Primarily right now we're working in the Caribbean, but we did that work for many years and still do it. I've been an amateur radio operator, like I think I mentioned earlier, 65 years as a ham radio operator.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
an impact that they're making. It's just unreal.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and again, along with all that, it's not just me, it's a lot of people been involved in it. My wife is a full partner in that, and even our company folks here help with it. Dee Wallace and all of them have helped, with various aspects of the foundation.
And your personal YouTube channel, if you'd like.
Absolutely, it's the LCF group.
So you guys can
LCF
follow
group.
any of the interesting things that he's doing.
Yeah, and your YouTube, you were telling us about that a little while ago.
Well, I have, 450 videos on the YouTube channel, something like that, and a little over 4 million views.
Is it kind of just you talking about the different projects you're involved in?
The YouTube videos we have include a lot of videos from Chantilly Farm, our work with the foundation fairs, and just interviews with people who are interesting to sometimes, and a lot of our foreign travels. We did a lot of foreign traveling, and we've incorporated a good bit of that in there. So it's a combination of ham radio, our museum stuff, and the farm here, Chantilly Farm. It's a combination of all that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sounds
More
great.
in-depth look at what all you guys are involved in.
Well, let's see this place.
Okay,
A lot more to see than what we can see from this spot.
great. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, my name's Dee Wallace. I'm Executive Associate with LCF Group, and besides developing real estate for sale, we do have this as a piece of property that the LCF Group has been working on for investment over a period of years since 2011. And we're really proud of the things that have been developed here. It's become quite a staple of the community, and we just are so excited about the things that we can do here on a weekly, daily, monthly basis for visitors from the public, and paid admissions and camping. It's just really a thing that we're proud of. So.
And you've been with David for a long time.
Long time.
Correct.
You're kind of one of his right hands,
Absolutely.
So
if not the right hand.
The right hand.
in 2002, I came over full-time to Floyd, where before that we worked on a contract basis over in Christiansburg. But being from Nebraska originally, Floyd is about as good close to the Nebraska life that I can get to in Virginia, and I do love it here, obviously. So it's been good working relationship and a living relationship in this community.
That's awesome.
What all kinds of things do you do with the events specifically? What is your day like?
Yeah.
I am usually in customer relations world. That's something that I do enjoy. I mean, the people that come from, different countries, different areas of this nation, certainly from all around the community. It's kind of my fun thing to be able to meet people and to provide them with a great experience. And I always tell them that if they don't enjoy it, to come back and see me so I can figure out what we can do about that. And mostly they don't come back and tell me the bad stuff, so hopefully that means it's all good.
So you're dealing with customers, vendors, everything.
I mean, yeah, we're a really small team that puts on events, so we've come to something of our capacity to take it to the next level just by virtue of, a small team. So that's why we really need to figure out how we can partner or transition with someone so that we can make it bigger and better for the community, but not necessarily kill ourselves in the process.
A small team requires good people on it.
Yeah, and we've got that. I mean, there's no question about that.
Well, I'd like you to meet Terry Woodruff, who's our campground manager, does a terrific job of keeping this place occupied. Terry, tell them a little bit about the campground here and what you do here.
It's we've got a beautiful place here in Southwest Virginia. Love the area, love the people. We've got a lot of people from all over the world visit this campground. You never know who will show up. We're just I'm glad to be a part of it. We've got a lot of 33 full hookup sites. We've got several sites with a lot of grass and water electric only. And then we've got multiple tinning sites, over 100 tinning sites here in the woods or in the shade of the field or out in the grassy fields. We're just a beautiful place to come visit and come see us.
And you pretty much handle all the facilities on this property.
I handle the reservation process and the checking in and kind of that, and customers can go online to our website and actually make their reservations online, as well as they can just show up. We're very close proximity to the Blue Ridge Parkway, so about 4.5 miles away is the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we get a lot of folks that just come in for the one evening to spend the night with us and to move on either north or south.
And you're an official state, I don't know, how were you explaining
Yeah,
that?
we're a state licensed
State
campground.
license. Do they help, do their websites help to send people your way as well?
Well, some of the websites do.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I just say this, Terry's done a really great job with the campground here and helps with a lot of other activities too. He's a little bit modest. He does more than the campground, but he's done a great job with all of our clients and customers that come in camping, and I tell you what, keeps most of them really happy. And I'm amazed sometimes when he puts somebody somewhere that they're happy where they are, and he puts them in a lot of different places, because we're pretty much full on weekends, and so we have to find a place sometimes for people that may not be a normal camping spot, but he tends to do that.
Get creative.
Get creative, that's right.
Have you been here a long time?
Just a few months, I've been
Okay.
in Virginia for a few years, and from Western North Carolina, but love people and love the opportunity to be here in this atmosphere.
That's
It's great.
awesome. So we're here, where are we now? We're at the,
We're on the stage.
We're on the main stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Jason Gallimore now. I told you earlier that Jason is the reason Chantilly exists. His idea was a bluegrass festival 9 years ago right here with a simple little stage, power, and a crowd. So Jason Gallimore, our production manager, give an idea from there.
Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah, it's been a real journey. We started this out about 9 years ago. Like Dave said, we had our first Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival in 2011. We booked some local bands, printed up some posters, made as big of a deal of it as we possibly could, and actually had several hundred people our first year. We pulled an old tractor trailer stage down here on a rainy Thursday night, got it stuck on the side of the hill.
That's awesome.
Booked some local food vendors, arts and crafts vendors. It grew significantly in the second year. We booked the Lonesome River Band and Junior Sisk to take it up a notch with the bluegrass talent. And then many years into it, booking some of the hottest bands in the country on the bluegrass circuit. So that's not the only event that's taken place here, though. A lot of events, as they generally do, have come and gone. We've hosted everything out here from, car shows to tribute band shows, the Floyd Energy Fest, pageants. You'll see behind me there's a 4,000 square foot indoor barn style facility that we host indoor events. It also doubles as a green room for some of our musical events and staged entertainment style of events. So what you see here is an amazing stage, truly one of the larger outdoor performance stages in southwestern Virginia. So we're really blessed to have that. That was done by Price Buildings out of Rocky Mount. Got a great audience field here behind us. For those of you who don't know, Chantilly Farm is about 200 acres, mixed of grassland and woodland, so some beautiful places to camp too. So throughout the year, we do a mix of everything from rented events like weddings, reunions, receptions, community meetings, things of that nature. And then the rest of the schedule is filled in with public events that, like I said, range everything from gospel to the Grateful Dead. That's what I like to
That's
call
awesome.
it.
And this is a nice natural amphitheater, so I'm sure that
It is.
the sound is
The
just
acoustics are
phenomenal. Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely.
And one of the things people love is, they can bring their kids here, bring the whole family. The kids can just run around, roam, and play. You're not right on a highway, so you don't have to worry about any of those types of dangers. So it's really a unique setting in terms of outdoor venues here in southwestern Virginia.
So you definitely have it together. I mean, you guys really have got it going on. What was your past experience before you came here?
Well, I put my first show together in a friend's basement when I was 12.
Okay. So you
And
were
then-
just naturally doing this
And then
as a kid.
Well, it was something
your
I was
thing.
always fascinated, with. And when I was really young, I would draw pictures of stages on little pieces of paper of my favorite bands, and I would make out tour schedules and pretend that I was, putting Def Leppard on tour or something like that.
Really?
So it was something I was always, kind of passionate about. And then the business side of it, really captivated my imagination as I got through high school and everything. I got into the theater world and started producing live theater. And prior to moving back to Floyd from Portland, Maine, I was working with the History Channel and the Discovery Channel, producing documentaries. And that was a lot of fun. Film really interested me for many, many years. I'm not as involved with it now.
You're very natural on camera, though. Like, I can tell. You've done this or something, you know?
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But, this Chantilly project's been a real blast, and, a dream come true on a number of different levels. We've been able to have such a diverse array of programming out here. It's been exciting. Dave was instrumental in starting the campground back in, I believe, 2015. And since then, it's become a top-notch camping destination. I mean, our reviews online have been wonderful. People really enjoy themselves when they come here. It's been exciting to meet people from all over the world that visit our part of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So, that's a really exciting element of Chantilly as well.
So with your background in theater as well, do you all do plays or anything?
Outdoor? We don't do a lot of outdoor theater right now.
Because doesn't the Junebug Center have some of
that?
that?
They do. They do some fantastic productions in town at the Junebug Center. And, the theater scene in southwestern Virginia isn't that large.
Everybody goes
right
to the
now.
barter.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. I wish it were a little
I wish
more
it were
filled
too.
out, but it's just not something that gets as much support as it probably should in this part of the state.
I don't think many of the locals have experienced it, probably. I almost feel
I
like,
think so. I think you're right.
I think it's kind of, we need to promote it or something. It could be huge around here.
But we're certainly open to hosting those types of events out here.
It's a
Outdoor
great
theater is
idea.
a fantastic concept.
Well, I want to say Jason's a little modest. He's just talking about the production. He also was really the one that's done the major marketing for the farm, and also all the website creation.
Graphics. You do all the graphics?
And social media is real great on social media. If it wasn't for social media that he does, we wouldn't be very well known. But he's done a terrific job there, and really a great asset to the farm.
Thank you so much.
And all the construction has been done, all the building construction by Price Building over in Rocky Mount. They've done a terrific job. By the way, Jason, I'll give him credit too. I said, Jason, get us a design for a stage. He mentioned sketching things on paper. So he came to me with a sketch, and basically what you see here is that sketch.
And it probably started as
And I'm no architect, but I went home one night and I took a piece of paper and I said, okay, this is my chance to draw what I think would be a really cool stage.
Yep.
And kudos to Dave for following through with it, because really, it was a matter of months later, we had a stage almost identical to that stage that was on that piece of paper. So it was interesting to see it come full circle from, as a child, drawing these pretend stages on paper, like I was going to have my own concert, and then now here's this beautiful stage. And so I thank Dave for that in a big way.
And you're doing what you love. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Not many people really get the chance to say that.
So few people do, and I think that, I tell people that all the time, life is too short to not do what you love.
That's right.
Don't sit in a cubicle at a job you hate.
Yep.
Go out and do something you're passionate about.
And by the way, the stage, not only do we put on productions here, there've been weddings here. We've had a cycle group that had all their meals here, and other people have used the stage for various things, from just get-togethers. We have the energy fair. They do little seminars in the back, and so this stage is a multi-function shelter, really.
It's also a great backup for rain when you're having a wedding out here. If the weather gets a little shady,
That's fantastic.
You can have your ceremony.
There's
up
a
here on the
backup
stage.
plan.
It's very unique.
That's the problem. There's not a backup
Absolutely.
plan sometimes.
Absolutely.
All right. So what do you guys call this building?
Well, this is our indoor events facility. It's 4,000 square feet, divided into 2 levels. We've got a lower level here, which we're on now, and a 1,200 square foot mezzanine upstairs with a nice deck looking out to the concert field, which is great. It's also in very close proximity to the stage, so it makes it great for wedding receptions and those types of things where the ceremony is hosted outdoors and then the indoor component of the event takes place here. We've had everything in here, like I said, from weddings to Second Chance Prom. A couple of months ago, we had the Floyd Energy Fest Trade Expo, a lot of alternative energy vendors from around southwestern Virginia. We had a Tesla parked in here a few weeks ago. Absolutely. So it's really a multi-purpose facility. It's got Wi-Fi, which people really appreciate, a warming kitchen, restroom facilities, those types of things. And then this weekend, we're turning this into the Miss Floyd County Fair pageant.
And you all pull a stage out for that?
We do.
Isn't that right?
We do. We have a portable platform stage that's set up in sections so that you can manipulate it in whatever formation you need to, and we'll be using that for next weekend.
How many people will you be able to seat for that?
For that particular event, you're probably looking at 100 people.
Okay.
But we've had shows in here. We had a Lonesome River Band CD release party in here a couple of years ago, where we had about 246.
Okay. Just
So-
about.
Yeah,
about 246 people. That's a lot of people.
Typically for a seated dinner at a wedding or something, we max
Yeah.
out about 170.
I gotcha. Well, this is a phenomenal.
This is so much
building.
more than a barn. What all went into building this?
Well, we call it a barn, and we usually tell people when they come in, we say, well, we shooed the chickens out before you came in.
Yeah.
But we built it as a post and beam building, which is the way you build a barn. But obviously the inside is finished off in a very nice way. And, you know, it's much more than a barn, but we still call it the Chantilly barn.
Very multifunctional.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
a multifunction.
It's slick.
Absolutely.
It's very slick
Yeah,
how y'all have
there's
done this.
Got a lot of power distributed around, there's Wi-Fi outlets or internet outlets, plus the Wi-Fi, so well equipped for about anything you want to do in here.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I can tell that there was a lot spent on this just from the kind of floor that's been put in to the wiring you've run. I mean, there was really no expense spared making this a really first-class
Well, there's
building.
5,000 feet of electrical wire and 3,000 feet of Cat 6 in this building.
What did you do for heating and air? You didn't do geothermal.
We did not do geothermal,
Okay.
but the floors are heated. But
Yeah.
we could heat them with solar, but we heat them with propane. But we also have dual air conditioners, heat pumps, so got 2 heat sources plus cooling in here.
So-
Nicely climate controlled.
Yeah.
So you're ready year-round,
Oh, yeah,
no matter
absolutely.
what,
Absolutely.
come rain or
Events in
shine.
the middle of winter, events in the middle of summer, we can do it all.
That's why it's so important to do a video like this, because most people wouldn't know just how nice and how much this building has to offer. I mean, heated floors, no one else does that. That's really nice. It really is.
At your events, what's the most folks you've ever had out here at one time? 1,000?
Several thousand.
Several thousand.
Several
That's what I was
thousand, correct.
wondering.
Yeah.
So you have to park them probably everywhere.
We do. We have large parking fields down front, though. Those fields can handle, God, what do you say, Dave? Gosh.
Oh, we haven't even come close to filling them. We could probably park enough cars around the venue to have 8,000 to 10,000 people
Exactly.
parked
Absolutely.
here and still have the venue up here open.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think I've met the guy that does your mowing, and he told me one time he's a friend of a friend, and he said that when he finishes, it's time to start all over again.
It is.
Well, in the spring when the grass is really growing, it's continuous.
Absolutely.
Mow 1 week and mow it the next week.
Gosh.
About 40 acres of grass.
Are you able to hay any of that?
No, we keep it all
Keep it
mowed.
all mown?
Absolutely.
Keep it all manicured. We could hay it, that'd be a lot less work, but it won't look very good that
Yeah.
way. Looks
Yeah.
like a hayfield. And
Yeah.
we're way beyond a hayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, the mezzanine is about 1,200 to 1,400 square feet, as Jason mentioned, and it's really a great view down to the stage when it's down in front. And then we have this deck out here, this large deck, which actually has a view of the whole farm on this part of the farm, plus the events that are going on the stage. So this is sort of a VIP area during events and so forth, where it's a very selective place for people to come and view what's going on and just enjoy out here. And it's air conditioned inside, so if it gets a little hot out here, they can run inside. It's like I said, we just restained the deck, keep it up nice. In the background is a country store, which isn't a fully operational store. We're year-round. Just during events, we have food vendors in there. John Beagle serves barbecue and other things. So it's basically operated as an event part of the farm. Whenever we have an event, there's food vendors there. There's one of our Wi-Fi towers right there. We have live internet on the stage as well. One of those cables coming out there is live internet on the stage.
It's a pretty high-tech place.
Yeah,
It really is.
it is, yeah.
I think I'd like to bring my camper out here and just camp for a week
Oh,
or
it's
two
beautiful.
and go
And
to
then
some of the events.
We need to get
It'll
around
be
the
fun.
We've got some bell tents and a platform tent over there too. Back here we see a small swing set and a little children's area. And we have 2 children's area on the farm. And behind that you see a sign that says hiking trails open. In the woods back there we have some hiking trails plus some mountain bike trails as well. And the 2 little brown cabins are primitive cabins People love to rent them. They have little bunk beds in them and a light and tables. There's no facilities in there, but it's great. It beats living in a tent. People love those facilities. And moving on over a little further, you'll see the teepee. We used to rent that teepee out, but it became a little difficult because there's no facilities inside, just a dirt floor. So people do use it occasionally, and we also have people set up camping around it and so forth. And probably just see barely the roof moving a little further to the left of our bathhouse for this camping area. And then just the beautiful rolling hills. And straight in front of us here, there's a flat area up on the hill there we call Flat Top. It's 3/4 of an acre up there, just beautiful, right straight in front of us. We have weddings and campouts and so forth up there. It's well used, and you don't see much of anything except the Blue Ridge Mountains, a beautiful view up there. Of course, so you see the road network and lights up and down all the roads and around the venue here. We have power and water distributed throughout most of the venue, lots of water and lots of power available. A little further over to the left there, the hill that has the trees in front of it there, we call that our bird hill because there's so many birds that live in there. There's a bike trail goes up that as well, nice crossover bike path. And then over to the left there, the little country store with the green roofs and little snack shack, which are active during events with food. We have other food vendors as well, but they vend out of that. And then you see a couple of campers in the background there, RV campers, and tearing down the admissions tent way back in the background. In the big building we were just in there, the Chantilly barn, which is where we have a lot of events. And just to the left of that, the stage, which we built about 5 years ago, is really very nice. And in this amphitheater here, there's not a bad place you can stand on these hills that you can't get a real nice view of everything going on, and the sound comes out of there too with the speaker towers and so forth. The stage itself is 50 feet wide, 20 feet to the rafters, and then if you go to the end of the speaker towers, it's actually 70 feet across there. And then there's some more room behind it as well. So it's a stage that we could put about any event that we could think of on there. It's quite large, and we have had a lot of different kind of events there. So that's sort of a panorama of our event area. It's probably about 10 acres of the farm, and the rest of the farm is camping and woods and other things. Well, we built that quite a few years ago with the idea of another building up there at some point. I would like to see a brewery or...
You want to talk about that when we get up there?
Sure, absolutely. Over here to the right is our bathhouse. We call it Bathhouse A simply because we have A and B. It has showers and full facilities for him and her. And up back of the bathhouse, you see our little micro cottage. It's a cool little building up there. It's small, but it has heating and air conditioning, so you can use it in the winter or summer. It has a microwave and a refrigerator and 2 bunk beds. We call that our micro cottage. It's a cool little place to spend the weekend any time of the year, weather independent.
I guess it's a tiny house, right?
It's smaller than a tiny house. It's a micro house. We call it a micro cottage.
How many square feet is that?
Well, that one's about 150 square feet, or a little bit less maybe.
That is a micro house.
Yeah. It's actually it's a little bit smaller than that. But then you got the outside. There's a place you can set up a tent. There's power and water outside. There's a picnic table. There's chairs inside that you can take outside and use. This is a camping area up here to the left as well. All these roads in here have official 911 names. So there's addresses for everything out here. So if we have a 911 call, people know where to go. The emergency people know where it's located.
Did that help, just, off topic, did that help with insurance rates?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
it does. We also have a 9-hole disc golf course we haven't mentioned on the farm as well. It starts down at the camp office, loops around the farm, and ends up down below this hill.
I see.
Yeah, that's hole number 8 right there.
Do you want me to go left?
Yeah, drive out through the field a little bit. Now this is 3/4.
I can't cut
probably-
that off until sorry.
Probably mine too.
Yeah,
No.
it's yours too.
Now this is 3/4 of an acre, perfectly flat. It wasn't flat when we bought the farm. It was filled with briars and everything else. We cleared this off. And the long range idea here is that it's a great place for, you know, maybe a brewery or some other kind of a building that would lend itself to events, or a restaurant, or, you know, just whatever. It's big. And down in the front on the far left here, there's a little bit of an area, we call that our helipad, so that if we fill up our big helipad up here, this little one down below is available. And believe it or not, a helipad sort of lowers our insurance rates too, to have a place for a helicopter to come in.
Do people fly in and out?
Well, we've had, we haven't actually used that because we haven't had to, but we've had helicopters land in the front field down there for other accidents that weren't on the farm, that were along the road they would use. And this field up here, by the way, there is a local fellow that uses this for his PPG, para-powered glider. I'm not sure what it's called. Anyway, it's a powered glider parachute. He lands and takes off up here in this field.
That's cool.
PPG. And we have 3 commercial entrances down on Franklin Pike, full commercial entrances. Then I have another commercial entrance over on Poor Farm Road. So we have great access and traffic flow on the whole farm. Works very nicely. We can move traffic in and out.
Are any of these roads one way, or are they all two?
Well, we make them whatever we want.
Right.
So during events,
Depending on
we may make this purely an exit.
Yeah.
You know, just come out this way.
Yeah.
Or we may make it just for vendors so they can come and go.
That's right.
So yeah,
That's
we do
smart.
make the roads one way at some time, but normally they're just roads. But you know, if we have a need to make them one way, we put up a one-way sign, and it becomes a one-way road. Right down to the right, sort of in the front of us, is another huge amphitheater, and we haven't had a need for this yet. But at some point, the amphitheater goes clear up to the top of the woods. And down here where you see the picnic table, I've already built an area to build a huge stage looking up the amphitheater. I don't know how many thousand people you could put up there if we needed to. But I put the dirt in there, and we did a lot of excavating and filling and just a lot of, I would say, sculpturing of the farm, really. We're coming up on hole number 9 here on the right, and you see some white rocks and so forth. There's 3,000 gallons of spring water underneath there stored, as well as that 9 hole. And then off to the left, we're building a second stage. Barb Ward is building that, and that'll be used for jamming and so forth. And when there's music events, it gives another place to have some smaller events going on, and we call that our second stage.
I was curious if you had a water reservoir up high.
No, we pump. No, our water system pumps straight out of the well. We can pump. We're licensed to pump 39,000 gallons a day, and that's about how much we use in a whole month.
Wow. So
And
you
we have
plenty
a
of room
pump
for
in the well.
expansion.
We have what they call a proportional pump. It depends on how much you're drawing. Up to 35 gallons a minute, it holds the pressure at 60 pounds. So we don't have any storage. We just pump out of the well, which produces 100 gallons a minute. Off to the right, you see a couple of RVs and our camp office, where people check in, check out. We have a small store there with a few supplies in it. And 5 RV full service sites up here on the top of the hill, and another one just behind it there.
There's really not that many RV campgrounds anywhere around here.
There's not.
There's
Not that will handle these big Class A's. People come in here and they love it because there's not a lot of interference from tree limbs and so forth. These guys like this, they can't get into a campground if it's very crowded.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely big RVs here.
What I think we should do now is circle down and get some video of the cabins down in front. Yeah, we're coming through here, campground office. We sell ice and wood and basic stuff campers need. We have a telephone there. If their cell phone doesn't work, we have a telephone outside the door that anybody can call anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Plus they can use the Wi-Fi, of course. So you see them coming and going. There's one going and there's one coming. And hole number 1 for the disc golf starts there, and then 2, and then hole number 3 is down here, almost right in front of us. So it kind of loops around the mountain. People love it because it's a nice hike and it's kind of in the open. You get a little hike up and down the mountains. Again, power and water grid along most of our roads. In the pine trees down here, we have a dump station, RV dump station, with fresh water, and also our green boxes down there. But that's a nice area. People can come and freshen up before they leave if they had to do dry camping.
You can block the smell with kind of
Yeah.
the pine.
There was a house in there when I bought it. I tore the house down. It was falling apart. It just turned out to be nice to build into a dump station. These 4 cabins in front of us, we built those last year. We moved into them in June, a year ago June. And we use all of them. One of them's my office, one's Dee's office, one's main office, and then production office on the right. They're fully equipped buildings with a kitchen, bathroom, and everything. And so at some point, if we move our offices somewhere else, they can just be rental cabins. But they're really really nice. We were in town for 15 or 16 years. We had no windows. We were inside, couldn't see it. It's beautiful coming out here. We have a nice view. Each cabin has its own heat pump so they can set their own temperature. And
Is the county okay to work with some of these?
our county has been good to work with.
Good.
They're very good. You know, we have to follow the rules, but the rules
Right.
are reasonable for us, and we've been real happy with the county. They've been good to us.
Good.
They really have.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem in Floyd
Yeah.
County. It's
Yeah.
been wonderful.
So you see some more campsites here on the left. We've got about 31 full-service sites, as I recall. All the power is underground. Everything's underground. I don't have anything above ground, which makes it really, really nice, unobstructed. Yeah, we'll go down here to the storage facility barn.
Can you tell us a little bit about the road construction, putting the roads in here?
Well, I can, yeah. Again, the roads, like I was mentioning earlier, we basically dug the roads out actually about 6 to 8 inches deep, filled them in with gravel, and then this gravel is all packed in with a packer, so it's almost like a blacktop road.
It almost reminds me more of a chip and tar, like VDOT road,
Yeah,
really. I mean, you
yeah.
did it the right way. You
Yeah, they
didn't
were-
just sprinkle gravel over a logging road like
Right.
most campgrounds
No, this
do.
all gravel is all vibrated in with a vibrating packer. Right in front of us is our big bathhouse for this whole part of the campground. You see the tower there by the bathhouse, that's another one of our Wi-Fi towers covering this part of the campground. Over to the right is a bark park where you can take your dog and take them off a grid, off their leash, off the grid, right. They'll be on the grid there. And this big building is 4,000 square feet. We'll go ahead and take a look inside. This building is our storage and event preparation building.
From what I remember, this is a really nice building.
Oh,
to
it's
be a
not-
storage building, it's top notch.
Oh yeah, it's real nice, for sure. Well, we call this our storage barn. This is our event storage barn and workshop area, planning area as far as physical things. In other words, we have a garbage can, chairs, golf carts, tractors, trailers. We store all of our things that need to be undercover in here. We also have a loft up here to the right, and the smaller things like banners and things that go with events up there. This barn is 4,000 square feet, and we have 3 doors. I got a 14 by 14 on that end. I could drive a Class A RV in, 12 by 14 here, and a 12 by 12 on this side, so we can get in and out nicely. You mentioned the building. You can build a barn in Floyd County if it's literally a barn for about a $50 permit, but it's a barn.
And will always be.
It'll always be a barn. We paid for the full permit for this, so it's built to code as far as the size of it. So if we wanted to
Convert it.
upgrade it more, put more walls in, more facilities, it's built to code, which gives us the opportunity to do all kinds of things in here besides use it as basically a storage event barn.
A lot of forethought to do that.
Yeah, and it costs a little bit more money, but it sure gives you a lot more options. It's a great facility. It's about 18 feet up to the top, so you can get some pretty big stuff in here through that 14-foot door.
It's insulated too.
It does have a small amount of insulation. It does. It's a what they call a wrapped building. Keeps it from sweating.
It's smart too. I see where you have cameras.
Yeah.
Where there's tools, there's always a need to have cameras.
I think I've got 8 video
Something I've
systems on the
learned.
farm.
It's very smart. You have to
Yeah.
have that. It's a
Yeah, they're
necessity.
running all the time.
You have to.
Yep. So this has turned out to be wonderful. We've only had it for 3 years, but I don't know where we stored this stuff before. Different places, different farms. It was difficult. It's nice to have it one place where we can put it all.
it ends up being more labor and more time consuming just bringing stuff from exterior.
Oh, yeah.
So having it centralized.
And having it here on the farm, anybody on the farm, any of our staff that needs something, if it's here, they can come and get it on
Yep.
their own. We don't have to go haul it in for them. They can come and get things from the loft or tools, whatever.
Yep.
It works really nice.
That's great.
About all I can say about this. It's a great
Very
facility.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 o'clock getting set. Now that you say it, I'll be like,
I know, it's so hot.
Oh, he's rolling. You see that red light up there?
she distracted me, doesn't know it. I know she's over there. Now she's all fixed on that red light 'cause she's never had one before. Hi, so tell us what you do here at the farm.
Marie Fest.
No, we're not doing Marie Fest. No, God, no.
Don't tempt.
Do we need to get in here?
Now, Mr. Larsen wants that minute of his life back.
Yeah, really.
Cleaning it up.
The beer truck
From
just
the
rolled in,
weekend.
so we're right on time.
Picking up the beer from Cirque du Floyd.
It's what, 10 a.m.? Let's go hit the beer truck. Just kidding. That's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Appreciate all your time.
Absolutely.
Well, I think this is great.
Mine's good too.
Thanks for
You've
watching.
done a lot of editing.
Yep. We do have a lot of editing.
But I think you've got